What's up? I recently went through the very regrettable task of beating How to Platformer. It took me 10 hours and a lot of attempts, and I was even stuck on one of the rooms alone for 2 hours straight, so that was not fun. But I was looking into the editor at how it was made, more specifically, how the camera was done. And the way the camera was done is there's this object at the beginning here that the camera locks onto. So whenever you play and move into a different room, it just moves that camera object to the next room. And it's because of this that you cannot backtrack in rooms because there's nothing telling the camera to move backwards. Now, in a level like this, the camera never needed to move backwards necessarily. However, the way it's done is really unoptimized because all of these triggers alone, just the move triggers for the camera object, there's a lot of objects being used up in those. If you think about how many rooms there are, 2024, then there's probably more of that in just these triggers, you know, in objects from these triggers. It's really terribly unoptimized, and again, you can't move back through rooms, so it's kind of stupid in that way. Well, I put together a camera controller for a similar type of room-based level. I've made these before, but I think this is the best version of my own design, and I quite like it. So, just to demonstrate, this is what's going on. I jump around. Wherever I go, no matter which room I enter from which angle, it's always going to follow me, just like that. And the only way it could mess up, really, is if you go out of the corner of it, but presumably in a level made up of rooms, the corner of the camera is always going to be blocked off anyway. But, to show you what's going on here, right here I have 5 different collision triggers. Well, a lot more than 5, but obviously 5 different IDs being used up. One for the top, right, bottom, and left, and one for the middle of the camera. And these triggers are not really that complicated, but to keep it super simple, basically what's happening is anytime I interact with 1, 2, 3, or 4, it sets an item ID to that number. Just for convenience, it's not required, but as you can see, I drop here 3, 1, 2, 4. And what that's doing is it's basically picking which direction the camera is going to move into. So 1 means up, 2 right, 3 down, 4 left. And the one in the middle, number 5, is picking up if I've left the camera zone or not, if I've left the camera area. And the way it does that is it's just another collision trigger, except it has trigger on exit. So if you think, what will happen is I'll enter 2, and it'll pick 2, which means right, and then as soon as I leave, it moves. And the number 4 is put on top of me, so if I decide I immediately want to go back left, I can. And so you're able to just sit in between a room and go back and forth if you want to. Now, you can probably see that, the collision triggers move immediately, but the camera eases over. That's intentional. this guide object is actually what the camera is following. And you can kind of see, maybe I'll turn these off so it's a little more obvious. The guide object moves smoothly while the collisions move immediately. And that's to have a smooth camera instead of one that just snaps over while still keeping the collisions where they need to be. And this uses a lot less objects than just the triggers alone in that other level would be. And it's at the cost of just a few extra groups and some collision triggers, and you can just make this pretty easily. Final thing is, like, this is really easy to customize. If you wanted to change how your camera works, you can easily come in here, pick a different easing, different time for the easing. Obviously, you wouldn't want it to take this long, but you know, it's just to show that this is fully customizable with your own well, that's weird. It's not doing the right easing, but classic Geode mod bugs, I guess, but yeah, it's really customizable. You can do whatever you want with this, and that's really about it, to be honest. I just kind of wanted to show this off. Alright, peace.